Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Haunted Hometown. This one I am super excited about because for a very brief period of time it was a hometown of mine. When Aaron and I first got married, he was stationed in 29 Palms at the Marine Corps base and I lived there with him for give or take a year. And I don't remember how long it actually was, that's so bad. But I do have some personal accounts there as well. So when you guys are done watching this video, I will put cards at the end of this video to show you guys, to direct you to my haunted house story. Because when I lived there, we lived in a house that, I don't know if the house was haunted or just the area was haunted because weird stuff happened. And yeah, I'm super stoked. And again, just like I say in every single one of my other videos, if you guys have a place that you want me to look up or read some stories, or if you have any stories that you want me to read, feel free to send them to my email, which is listed down below. It's theecactusqueen@gmail.com. Same as all of my handles on other social media because one E has already been taken. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm so excited. I hope you guys are enjoying this series as well. I'm probably just gonna keep going until I run out of places to look up. So yeah, subscribe. So first story. It has been a while now since my husband was stationed at 29. Or, okay, so just so you guys know, sometimes we call it 29 or 29 Palms, but in this one, it has been a while since my husband was stationed at 29 is the way you would say this. My uncle was even stationed there many years ago. We all have stories about hauntings from the base. If you ask several of the people that lived in the base housing before the Marine Palms were remodeled, they would tell you it was the men and women that lost their lives coming home to their families. That's so sad. We lived in Marine Palms before the remodel job. A new house is now on the location of where my old duplex once was. While we lived in the old cement housing with no carpeting, I would be in the back of the house, especially my bedroom, where I would hear the stomping of combat boots walking down the hall, only to have no one there. Sometimes, while in the hallway, I would hear them. We had our front door open on its own all the time. Wind or no wind, locked or not, we finally had to place a heavy chair and locked it to keep it from happening. But at times it would still pop open. Ooh, that's super creepy. We had our daughter in the room at the end of the hall. She was 1 year old at the time. I would go into her room and feel something staring at me, but I never saw anything but my sleeping daughter. I would then take her out and place her on the couch to finish her nap. I went in there to check on her because I thought I heard her wake up. We also had a very large female Rottweiler dog, which are no longer allowed on base, which is really sad. When my husband was out at Camp Wilson, I would have the dog and my daughter sleep with me. I would hear the claws of a dog hitting the floor as if they were walking down the hallway. I would yell at the dog and my dog would get off the bed and check out the claws clicking on the floor. I would follow and nothing would be there. My husband had not been a believer in ghosts, but with all the ghost stories that we had heard at the base, he was a believer after only living there less than a week. All of this started the day we moved on to base. Granted, they have a lot of quakes, and that would shake my windows and always knock over my trash cans. Sometimes we heard and felt things that were not there. The toilet would flush while only me and the dog and my daughter, who was not yet potty trained and napping in her crib, were there. The disposal would kick on for a few seconds by itself, and one time my in-laws came to visit. My mother-in-law offered to help do some housework since I had a cold and needed to go to the doctor with my daughter. When we got back home, my mother-in-law complained about the door would not stay closed. She swore that she could hear the neighbors stomping up and down their hallways as if they were in our side of the duplex. At first, she thought it was her son in the house. That would make sense. She would call out to him but got no answer. When she came out to check, she found no one. When she came out to check, she found no one. I told her that no one lived in the other side at the moment and that it happened here all the time. And that was submitted by 29. That was, I believe it. I mean, this sounds similar to things that I've heard people say before, but I lived on the military base in 29 Palms in base housing. 2 months after we had just moved into our new house, my wife and I would hear awkward noises, awkward sounds, and knocks on the walls at nighttime. We brushed them off. We just figured they were sounds of the house. A while went by and we were lying in bed at about 10:30 p.m. and heard knocking. Then a few minutes went by, and just as we were about to fall asleep, our bedroom door slammed shut. After about 3 days of this happening, night after night, my wife put a sweater in between the door and the door jamb so it would not wake us up and scare her anymore. We had a large box in the right-hand corner of our room at the foot of the bed. The box had tape on it. It was open, and the tape was hanging off it. It was the sound that tapes make when you crumple it and rip it off. We would hear that often, and we tried to sleep. The stuff stopped for a while until one night. As we were both just about to fall into a deep sleep, a loud clap woke me and my wife up at the same time. I heard it on my side, and she heard it on her side. I did not know what was going on. My wife was telling our staff sergeant about the things that were happening here at night. He believed because 5 years ago he had 2 Marines hang themselves in this apartment because they were about to be shipped off to war. They did not want to go. They were best friends and committed suicide 1 hour apart. Just thought I would share our experiences because I am looking for answers. The things that are happening are beyond explanation. Lots of people do not believe. Neither did I. You have to experience it, I guess. Ooh, that's creepy. I don't like that. Alright guys, next story. We were set for training for the next 2 months in Camp Wilson. I was picked for advanced party to set stuff up a couple of days before the rest of the company would show up. We stayed in one of the huts during these few days. On the second night, I was fast asleep on my cot. I was awoken by the feeling that someone was looking over me. That's the worst feeling. I opened my eyes and saw someone looking down on me, thinking I was being wakened up for fire watch. What I saw was a man in an old-school Kevlar helmet on. I thought nothing at the time and closed my eyes and tried to push the man away. When I pushed away, I hit nothing, which made my eyes open. Every other Marine was fast asleep, and no one else was around. Kind of freaked me out. But I went back to sleep. Found out later that the camp was haunted, and others have seen full figures of apparitions of past Marines walking around the huts. No, need that. It's interesting that they're all so far military stories, because some of my experiences seemed more to be like gold miners. Well, at least one of them seemed like a mining person, but other ones, I don't know. I have no idea. So next one. In 1980, I was stationed in 29 Palms. I had a security duty at the motor pool late, about 0300. Out of the blue, a Jeep cranked up with no one driving. The Jeep crashed through the gate. We yelled, "Halt!" and one of the Marines pointed an M16 at the Jeep. It was like the Jeep was going 0 to 100 miles per hour in 1 second. These men were claiming to be naval investigators, asked us questions about it, and when we got back to the barracks, could not understand how they knew about it so soon. These guys were dressed in outfits you wore in the 60s. I don't think I understand that one very well. So the Jeep came through and no one was driving it, and they tried to stop it. And then, so a real Jeep came through, and somebody who dressed in the 60s came to them and tried to investigate them. And then like, that was it. Nothing ever happened of it. Something much more would have happened of it. Like, it had to have. If a Jeep like crashed through fences. So the next story, another military one. Down past Camp Wilson on Camp Brownfield, right side the Ordnance ASP, there is a security post. Every night, myself and a few other Marines would hear and see things all night, every night. We shrugged it off until one night the generator shut off while trying to turn it back on to power up the light cart. While working on it, I started hearing whispers again. Next thing you know, I felt something hit my knee. I thought somebody had come up to mess with me. But as I walked around the post, nobody was there. So I went to radio it in for some assistance with the generator. As I walked into the post, I was shoved by something. I was the only person up there, so needless to say, it freaked me out. The next night, the occurrences continued. I kept hearing stuff. Then as I looked around, I kept feeling my shoulder being tapped. Then the generator shut off again. As I walked to see what was wrong, something hit my knee again. I'm so done with the security post. That's funny. Alright guys, so that is all for this week's installment of Haunted Hometown. Be sure to subscribe so you can get the next part of this one. There's going to be, I think, 2 or maybe 3 parts depending on how long the rest of the stories are of 29 Palms itself. So yeah, be sure to subscribe if you like these kinds of videos, or hit like. It really helps me out. Or leave a comment down below. I love to talk to you guys. I love to know what you guys like to hear. If you have a hometown you want me to look up, or if you just have a city in mind that you want me to look up, feel free to communicate that down below. Stay safe, stay spooky, and have a great night. Bye.